What Barcelona taught me about turning lead to gold. What an incredible experience to be with so many vibrant human beings on this planet in one of the most artistic and creative cities in the world. I'm back in England now, and I am still integrating and recalibrating from this experience, this extraordinary experience. Back to the washing, the messages, the little things that need answering, the life that keeps moving even when something inside has shifted so deeply that you're not quite sure how to return to normal. And I've been sitting with Barcelona, not just the city, because it's so beautiful and so vibrant and so creative and artistic, but sitting with the full circle moment, because Barcelona is a city I have visited before years ago. And I went as a woman carrying something, or carrying more density than she knew what to deal with. I had been through the worst thing. I was doing the deepest work of my life, though I did not know I would have the words for it then that I do now. I was just inside the work, inside the ache, inside the rebuilding of my very identity, inside that strange place where life has changed and you have changed, but you cannot yet see any of what's in the making. I did not know I was becoming anything. I only knew that I was trying to survive what happened. And then, all this time later, I return and I stand in a room full of incredible women telling the truth. Women wanting more, women holding grief, women holding big, audacious dreams, women who have built extraordinary things, women who are still finding their way, and women with stories they had kept quiet, women who had come to remember something they already knew. And I understood something about gold. In a different way, not the shiny version, not the version that says we turn our pain into something beautiful so quickly that we never have to fully feel it. No, the real version, the version I want to give you now. Because you are the alchemist of your life. You are the one who chooses to turn inward and alchemize all the density to gold by seeking to see the silver linings and celebrating them and living the wisdom of your experience. This is not about rising above your life. There is a version of this work that tells you that we just simply have to rise above the fear, rise above the grief, rise above the hard thing. Get your vibration high enough, think positively enough, become healed enough, and then perhaps life cannot touch you. And then there's the truth that there's power in that state, yes. You do get to set your frequency. You are the tuning fork. When you are truly rooted in yourself, when you stop outsourcing your worth to the room rises to meet you. That is real. But Barcelona reminded me of the piece that often gets skipped. You do not get a clear tone by forcing the bell to ring louder. You get it by taking your hand off the bell. The alchemy is not enforcing light on top of what is real. It is holding two things at once. You stop feeding the negative, and then you stop looping the story. You stop rehearsing the pain until it becomes the architecture of your whole life. And you let yourself feel exactly what you feel, fully, honestly, without making it prettier first. Both. Not one instead of the other. There was this reminder in the room that also stayed with me. It will not always feel happy, but it can feel true. And the truth is where the power is, the full spectrum, the contraction and the expansion, the tears and the laughter, the longing and the gratitude, the grief that can sit beside the most magnificent joy. Because a woman who forces the light while burying the lead, you can feel it. It leaks. A held down state cannot fully transmit. A woman who lets joy be her default and lets the hard thing move through her when it's there, she is unshakable. Not because nothing is heavy, not because she doesn't know what to do with the weight. She knows she does not have to run from it anymore. She knows she does not have to build a home inside it. She knows she can feel it, hold it, be witnessed in it, and keep moving. That is the alchemist. She does not skip the lead. She is simply no longer afraid of it. I walked into that room and I did the oldest thing a woman does. I measured. She is further along. She has the results. She has the business, the audience, the confidence, the thing I have not yet fully let myself claim. And then something dissolved. Because you can stand next to a woman who is 1,000 steps ahead of you in one area of your life and meet her exactly where you are in the magic, in humanity, in power, in the truth of who you both are. I watched women who on paper might have felt intimidated by one another, but instead they meet in the heart. And when you meet there, all the status falls away. The comparison softens, the hierarchy becomes what it always was, a story, because we are equal power but different. There is no woman whose gold makes yours less valuable. There is no race happening, except the one your mind creates when it decides that another woman's evidence has to mean something about your lack. And I know this is easier to say than to live, but it is a beginner's game to rank yourself against another woman's becoming. You cannot be behind in your own becoming. There is no behind. There is only the woman you are. There is only the woman you are here to make. There is only the gold that you have not yet noticed you are standing on. I came into that room braced. I could feel the strange energy dissolving. I thought I could feel what was happening, and I read the room through something I had already decided. I was sure what I was seeing was true, but none of it was real. It was a projection of the past overlaid on the present. It was my own story laid quietly over the present moment, an old picture projected onto new faces, and this is something I have had to learn time and again. Nothing my mind conjures is automatically the truth. Not the story that says you do not belong, not the story that says she does not like you, not the story that says that you are too much, not the story that says this is not going to happen for you, not the story that says you have missed your moment. This is your moment. The present moment is where it's at. And when I stopped feeding the story, when I stayed in the actual room with the actual women long enough, reality did what reality does. It dissolved the projection. The women I had braced against became women who held my heart. The energy I thought was distance became connection. Nothing changed but the story I was willing to stop believing. And that is a huge part of the work. The alchemist questions the story before she hands it the room. She asks, is this true or is this familiar? Am I meeting what is actually here, or am I asking the present to carry the weight of something old? The most powerful moments in Barcelona were not the polished moments. They were not the perfect introductions or the cleverest insights, the most beautiful photographs, or the moments when somebody had it all together. They were the moments when a woman said something out loud for the first time, the thing she had carried by herself, the thing she had decided was too messy, too shameful, too heavy, too complicated, too much. The thing she had feared would make people turn away. And you could watch what happened in her body when she spoke. The shoulders came down. The room softened around her. Not because something was fixed. Not because somebody fixed it. Not because her story disappeared. Not because of anything other than she stopped hiding it. We are not here to slay the hard thing. We are here to claim it, to let it be seen and alchemized. And I know this because I did it too. I told a story I had held for years, and I felt the exact thing I had watched happen in other women. The density began to move when it was no longer held in secret. There is something that changes when you stop trying to earn your way back into the room, when you stop trying to become acceptable before you let yourself be loved, when you allow yourself to be witnessed, included, and held. Because love is including yourself in the equation, and love is the currency. That is the whole economy of it. You do not have to be finished to be seen. You do not have to be over it to be loved. You do not have to make your truth palatable before you speak it. You simply have to stop hiding the thing long enough for someone to love you with it in the room. And perhaps most importantly, long enough for you to love yourself with it in the room. And then there's this, the one thing that undid me, that nothing is wasted. Not the resistance, not the detours, not the season when you were not ready, not the version of you that you would rather forget, not the thing that did not happen when you were sure it had to, not the things you spent wondering whether you had missed out on, whether you had taken too long, whether everyone else had somehow been given a map you did not receive. I came to Barcelona once before carrying more than I knew how to name. It was after the worst thing, and I did not arrive with some beautiful understanding of what it was all for. I was not standing above my life, looking down at the shape of the lesson. I was inside it, in the density, in the aftermath, in the part where you do not know what comes next because the thing you thought was certain has already gone. I did not know what I was making. I just knew I was in the fire. And then I came back years later, back to this city, back into a room full of incredible women, back into a version of myself I could not have designed from the place I was standing then. And something in me understood, not intellectually, not as a pretty thought to make the hard thing feel better. In my body, I understood that I could not see the gold because I was still being made. You cannot always see the making while you are inside it. Sometimes it feels like delay. Sometimes it feels like the loss of momentum. Sometimes it feels like you are going backwards. Sometimes it feels like everyone else is moving and you are the only one still sitting in the rubble, trying to understand what happened. But the alchemist knows. The fire is not evidence that you have failed. The fire is part of the transformation. And no, that does not mean that every hard thing was meant to happen. It does not mean that you have to make the pain beautiful before you are ready. It means that even here, you are not powerless. Even here, there is something being formed in you. A depth, a discernment, a tenderness, a capacity. A way of seeing another woman's pain without needing her to make it neat. A kind of leadership that cannot be learned from the surface of life. One day, you look back at the thing you thought delayed you, the thing you thought had disqualified you, the thing you thought had made you too much, too broken, too late, and you realize it taught you how to hold the room. It taught you how to tell the truth. It taught you how to stay. It taught you how to love. It taught you how to lead yourself when nothing outside of you felt certain. And that is not a nice idea. That is the evidence. That is what Barcelona gave back to me. A living, breathing reminder that the woman I was when I first came here, the one who could not yet see the life that was shaping her, was not lost. She was not behind. She was becoming. And so are you. There is no piece of your story, none, that is only led. There may be parts you have not yet understood, parts you are still grieving, parts that still ask to be held with great tenderness. But nothing is wasted when you refuse to abandon yourself in it. Nothing is wasted when you stay close enough to your own life to let it teach you. Nothing is wasted when you decide that this too will become material for the woman you are here to make. You are the alchemist of your life, and you are still very much in the making, my love.